Well, good evening, everybody. So tonight for What's Up Wednesday, I'm going to talk a little bit about a couple of programs that if you haven't already seen enough of Virginia Tech or still aren't sure if it's for you or not, these programs are really designed to give you the student perspective, see what it would actually be like while class is in session, while students are here. Obviously, the academics are important, but we all know that Virginia Tech has great academics, especially when it comes to engineering. But outside of academics, you are also a human being, and it has to be a place where you feel comfortable and you feel at home so that you can be your best academic self. So I'm going to go ahead and start screen sharing. All right. Oops. Okay. So the two programs that I'm going to talk about are Women's Preview Weekend and Gateway. They are very similar in their structure. They're on the same weekend. They are really looking at two different demographics. So they will probably cover most, if not everybody, on this particular phone call or this Zoom call. So both of the events are specifically for admitted freshmen. So they're not open to the general public when we get much closer, because they are not going to happen until April of 2020. Oh, that should say 2024, not 2023. You're going to receive an email invitation. So it's not just going to be an open link. It is just for students who have been offered admission. They both take place Saturday, April 6th to Sunday, April 7th. And both of them actually occur following the end of Hokie Focus. And I'm going to talk just a little bit about what Hokie Focus is. It's also a special event just for students that have actually been offered admission to the College of Engineering. They both are free overnight visits. You get a current Virginia Tech student as your host. So as I said, this is really, really an opportunity for you to get the student perspective, the student's life, the student side of it. What is it really like to be a student at Virginia Tech? Both of these programs are just for the student themselves. So there's not a parent piece to it. They're just to give the student perspective. So I'm going to start by talking a little bit about Hokie Focus, because that happens prior to the start of Women's Preview Weekend, and it is a family event. So for Hokie Focus, basically it has the same programming on either Saturday, April 6th or Sunday, April 7th. So as a family, as parents, you would only attend either one day or the other. We do recommend that if you are going to attend either Gateway or Hokie Focus, that you actually do the Saturday 6th. Sorry, if you are going to attend, Gateway or Women's Preview Weekend, that you attend the April 6th Hokie Focus for families, because that Hokie Focus programming is going to conclude before the Hokie Focus Gateway starts. If you do the 7th, it's fine for the parents, but I know at least for Women's Preview Weekend, if you tried to do the Hokie Focus programming Sunday morning, you would miss part of the Women's Preview Weekend programming. At Hokie Focus, again, it is much more of the university perspective. So they're going to go over academic information. They're going to go over individual college-specific requirements and curriculum. You're going to learn about life in the residence halls. I believe they have tours of the residence halls during that time. You get to learn about all the different dining. We are consistently ranked kind of 1 or 2 in terms of campus dining. We have lots and lots of options available. You're going to get a student-led campus tour. And like I said, it ends before Gateway and Women's Preview Weekend, so you can absolutely do both. They're not going to overlap. You're not going to miss anything. So the target, like I said, these are very similar programs, but the target for each one is slightly different. So Women's Preview Weekend is obviously for young women, and it is specific to the College of Engineering. Gateway is a university-wide program, so it's for all the colleges, and it targets Hispanic, Latino, Native American, Black or African American, and first-generation college students. So you can see there's some overlap, but there are also they're targeting different demographics. I run Women's Preview Weekend, so I am a whole lot more familiar with the details and specifics of that program. I did reach out trying to find someone who participated in Gateway, and I wasn't able to do that. I'll do my best to answer questions, but if there are questions I can't answer, I'm happy to reach out to admissions. Gateway is run by admissions. Women's Preview Weekend is run by my office, the Center for the Enhancement of Engineering Diversity. Okay, so the Women's Preview Weekend schedule, what happens? Hokey Focus concludes at about 2 p.m. on Saturday. We start checking in at about 3 p.m. on Saturday. You're going to check in. This takes place in Hogue Hall, which is where our Hypatia Living Learning Community is housed. You will be given a specific individual current freshman student living in Hypatia as your host for the weekend. You're probably going to sleep on the floor. So you do want to make sure, as in the top picture, that you bring your sleeping bag and your pillow or whatever else it's going to take to make you comfortable during that time. We're going to give you a spot to sleep on the floor. Your parents, if you're going to attend and your parents have come down for Hokey Focus or for the weekend, they will need to reserve their own hotel room. If you plan on coming, it is a good idea to reserve that hotel room early. The other hint in terms of lodging is I will tell a lot of people, you know, Blacksburg, little town, being a college town, we probably have definitely more than your average number of hotels for a town this size, but you can go just 10 minutes away to Christiansburg. They also have a lot of hotels. They tend to be a little bit cheaper. So if Blacksburg is full or you just want to spend a little bit less money, parents, I would definitely look into getting a hotel in Christiansburg. After you check in and kind of meet with your host, we're going to go take a big group picture, and then we're going to head to Lane Stadium to do a dinner overlooking the football field. And we typically have about 30 engineering faculty come join us. They're from all different departments. You have an opportunity to sit with a faculty member or two from the department that you're most interested in. After dinner, we come back to Hogue Hall, the residence hall, and we do a student organization fair. So we're going to have representatives from groups like the Society of Women Engineers or AOE, which is a engineering sorority, or some of the design teams, Human Powered Submarine, things like that. We always have General Electric, GE Vernova comes and sends a company representative. So you can already start making professional connections with them while you're here as well. During that evening, you are also going to have a time to visit our Invent Studio, which is the bottom picture on this screen. And you're going to create some kind of hands-on project so that you can take it home and remember the night. The Invent Studio is actually a maker space that is housed right in Hogue Hall in our living learning community. So if you want to create or build or learn how to use laser cutters or 3D printers, that type of thing, you can get trained and use it right there. You never have to leave the convenience of your dorm room in order to do that. But the heart of that night is actually just hanging out with other admitted students, with your host and other members of the Hypatia Living Learning Community. It is not unusual to connect with someone and decide, hey, maybe do you want to be roommates next year? So it is all about finding connections, finding people who have been through what you're looking at going through already. So just a great social time, go and get ice cream, take a tour of campus, hit the pylons, go to the duck pond, get insomnia cookies, just kind of see what it's like to be a female engineering student, kind of the social side of it. So after Saturday night, when I don't think a whole lot of sleeping goes on, we do have breakfast in Hogue Hall. People are always like, well, you just told me how great the dining is. How come we don't get to go to the dining hall? Unfortunately, on Sundays, the dining hall doesn't open early enough for us. So we would love to send you to the dining hall. We're simply not able to, even on Saturday for dinner, because there are so many people and families on campus. We are not allowed to add to the burden on the dining hall. So as much as we would love to take you to the dining hall and show off who we are and what we have, we simply aren't able to do it for this particular event. After the breakfast, you're going to go through a series of 4 lab tours to see what those look like. On the top on this slide, we've got our foundry where you actually get to make your own metal casting, your metal mold. In the bottom is our helmet lab. We do a whole lot of research. We started with football helmets. I know they've also done equestrian riding helmets, and I know they're working maybe hockey, bicycle. So they really rate them and test them. So you will get to rank the set of tours that you would like to see. We are usually able to accommodate your first choice tour, which includes 3 or 4 different labs that you get to see. While you are out on the lab tours, the only part of this that is set up for parents is there is an optional parent session that is going to talk about the undergraduate support programs that my office, the SEED office, has. So that's going to include the Hypatia and Galileo Living Learning Communities. It's going to include our other Living Learning Community, Digerati, which is for technology majors more broadly. It's going to talk about our STEP Summer Bridge program, and it's also going to talk about our peer mentoring program. We will, as part of What's Up Wednesdays, we're going to have presentations on all of these programs, but it is an opportunity for parents to go and ask questions about them, or just questions more generally. And then obviously after that parent session is done and you're back from your lab tours and those coincide, time to head home and probably catch up on the sleep that you missed the night before. So Gateway, as I said, this is a university-wide program. It is run by the admissions office, but it is very similar. It's going to start after the conclusion of Hokie Focus. You're going to spend the night with an individual host who is a current Virginia Tech student, stay in their dorm room, go through different programming, and then finish up the next day. I tried really hard to find a specific schedule. I wasn't able to. This is kind of some information they post. Again, gain more university and department specific information. I know they have a huge welcome event that typically President Sands, but perhaps more importantly, the Hokie Bird attends, so you can get your first Hokie Bird picture. Again, it's going to talk more about the residence halls. You are going to stay in a residence hall, but because it's across the university, it's not just going to be one hall. It's going to be spread out. Again, learn about the dining, learn about financial aid, scholarships. You will get a student-led campus tour, and then they're going to talk more about the honors program, study abroad, getting co-ops and internships. I believe that they also have a big dance on Saturday night that everyone is invited to attend as part of the programming for Gateway. So just a slightly different demographic, but very similar. And again, the purpose really is to help you see it, life at Virginia Tech from the student, from your social, emotional side of things. And that is literally all I have for my presentation. Although I wasn't able to get someone who had participated in Gateway to participate tonight, I am very fortunate to have two former Women's Preview Weekend participants. And I'm also going to ask them to say which SEED pre-college programs, because they did also both participate in some of the programs that you might be part of. So I'm going to ask each of them to introduce themselves, just kind of get that routine, where they're from, what major they're hoping to get into, what SEED programs they participated in before they ever got here, and then maybe talk a little bit about, again, what you have gotten involved with outside of your classes since you've been here. So I'm gonna have Shayla start.
All right. So my name is Shayla. I am a sophomore going into aerospace engineering. I'm involved with quite a bit of like engineering things across campus. So I'm on an engineering design team called Rocketry at VT. I'm part of Women's Preview Weekend Planning Committee. I did Hypatia, which is part of Galopecia and Hogue. And like Dr. Lester said, I was an attendee and a host for Women's Preview Weekend 2 years in a row. And I did Pathways to Future Engineers, CTech Squared, and a program through BCI.
And
So
where are you from?
I'm from Warsaw, Virginia, which is like on the top peninsula in Virginia. Most people don't know where it's at, but
Perfect. So you can see Shayla is a big SEED person, did lots of our pre-college, and then was involved here as a student as well through Hypatia. And our other participant, Alexandra.
Hi everyone, my name is Alexandra. I am a sophomore going into civil and environmental engineering. I'm from Hampton, Virginia. Um, Before I went to Virginia Tech, I was part of Pathways for Future Engineers and Women's Preview Weekend. I'm now actually one of the program assistants for Pathways. In kind of like what I do now in my spare time, I'm part of the Society of Women Engineers. I today officially am a part of the American Society for Civil Engineers. I am a Hypatia and Rising Sophomore Abroad alumni, and I'm a secretary for Squirrel Watching Club and the social chair for Beekeepers at Virginia Tech.
Okay, so you can see outside of academics, they keep busy. And the other thing I forgot to ask, and we'll go back to Shayla for this. So both Shayla and Alexandra participated in Women's Preview Weekend. So could you maybe talk just a little bit about what your experience was like and how it, helped informed your decision?
Yeah, so I did Women's Preview Weekend as an attendee my senior year, and like I came up here, I didn't really know anybody. So it was like kind of a little scary when I first came up here. But my host, like that I had, she's actually like a fellow classmate and friend now that like I can look up to as an upperclassman. So that was very nice to make a connection with her. It was the host and like student dinner was pretty cool too, to like meet with like other aerospace students and a AOE professor. And the lab tours are pretty fun. I was able to like go to a few little labs, one specifically for like AOE. Um, and then as a host, like I'm on the planning committee, so like I got to like match up girls for like the following Women's Preview Weekend, and then I also got to match myself to somebody, an attendee that following like spring who wanted to do aerospace, and it was really fun to get to know her. And then my roommate's girl too was like something in mechanical, I believe. So as a host, it was pretty cool, like because like the girls kind of asked questions about like what tech's like, the academics and stuff like that. And it was nice to be able to provide them information and a little bit of advice and knowledge about how to navigate as a freshman and things like that.
Perfect. Alexandra, tell us a little bit about your experience or what was beneficial about the experience.
So I also did Women's Preview Weekend, my rising senior year. Um, I actually had people recognize me when going into my freshman year here at Virginia Tech because of that event. I was characterized as someone who was very outgoing and all that type of stuff. So having like going to that event actually had led me to people like remembering who I am and wanting to like actually get to know me. Um, Kind of going forth of that, when I did the event, I found um the tours to be really entertaining and stuff. I went on to a lot of the chemical tours because I think at the time there wasn't much civil if I remember correctly, but it could have changed now. Um, but it was still really cool to see because chemical was probably my second choice at the time. But it was really cool to see all these facilities that, I've been going to like pre-college programs since middle school at Tech, and I've still never heard some of the buildings that I went into. And it was a really fun experience. And then as a host, it was very nice to actually get to know the girl that I was hosting. I only had one. My roommate didn't host anybody. She was very sweet, very nice. She's going into, I believe, civil as well. And I like still occasionally keep in contact with her. Like I told her she can always reach out and I'll always provide information whenever she needs it if she needs help. So I think that's a good bond to have with your mentor.
Thank you. So that's kind of a short presentation tonight. I did just want to then open it up, and it could be questions about Women's Preview Weekend, Gateway. It could be questions for Shayla and Alexandria about being a student at Virginia Tech, or just any question or questions you might have for me or for them about Virginia Tech, and Virginia Tech engineering. So I'll just open it up to the floor for anything you want to discuss. And I'm also fine. I know, not a problem. I know Shayla and Alexandra, I'm sure they have lots of work to do. And if I let them off a little early this evening, I'm sure they'll be very happy to get back. So quick question. So Shayla, after this, what is your evening going to look like?
Uh,
I know I put you on the spot.
well, I do have some math to study for, and I also have an essay to write, but we'll see if they're gonna get done tonight.
Okay. And an essay for a scholarship, right? We've talked about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Alexandra, what's the rest of the night gonna look like for you?
It's going to be a lot of studying for my geology test tomorrow. And then I also have a geology lab quiz tomorrow and a lot of work I need to get done for a calc test on Friday. And to answer, I just saw a question was put into
Yeah.
the chat on what the workload is like. I think it really depends on major. Right now I'm still general engineering, but I'm taking civil classes because civil is not has classes that are non-restrictive that you can take, and I'm declaring into the end at the end of the semester. I would say your first year, it's not too hard. It's like you really just need to know how to balance it. And it can be difficult at the beginning and like your first or second semester. I struggled a lot during my second semester personally. You're gonna have these things that are like withdrawal classes that you can use. So that's was my saving grace. But ultimately it's gonna vary person to person. And I know that's not like the best of answers, but um like it depends on your discipline and how you can manage things, in my opinion.
So Alexandra, did you still have time for a personal/social life?
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. I was doing like the beekeeping club. I in my spring semester I joined embroidery club. Um, it's just like you can make time for the stuff you want to do. And the good thing about like making your own, you get to make your own schedule basically here. And there's a way you can do it in like what you're going to use called ad drop or course registration when you make your classes. And you'll be able to like organize your time. And if you're looking for organizations that I guess fit in your time or just want to look at them, once you get your like Virginia Tech stuff, look at Gobbler Connect. Like I've I'm finding organizations now that I still want to join that I have never heard of. It's like over 1,000 organizations are on there. So definitely take a like look at that and find what works in your schedule. Clubs are amazing. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Shayla, do you want to comment on the workload question?
Um, like Alex kind of said, it kind of varies person to person and major. But yeah, for engineering, the workload will be a little tough, like depending on how many credits you take. Like I know some people who take 13 to 14, and then like some people like myself and my roommates, like we can take 17 to 19 credits per semester. And like it's a lot, but the biggest thing really is just having the work-life balance. I know the first semester, me and my roommates kind of, had a little bit more life, a little more personal life rather than work balance. And, we learned from that. We struggled a teeny bit with like, getting work done like last minute. Procrastination is like your worst enemy. It was mine. Just make sure you like go to class, go to class. Make sure you study at least just make sure you study. Like don't leave everything to the last minute or like the last week because it would not be in your favor, I promise. Like I've done it before and the test didn't go too well. But I know like as we're like all learning, especially like from upperclassmen and stuff, it really is just up to the person and like how well they can like manage themselves. Like it is really important to like how you manage your work-life balance and everything. Um, but I will say, like, make sure you give yourself time, like personal space to like hang out with friends or like do organizations. Because I know I'm still finding different organizations that like, especially outside of engineering. Like I have like one that's a crochet club, and it's like something non-engineering where I can just turn my brain off and not do anything.
Perfect. So there is another question about Hokey Focus and how it's different. So Hokey Focus takes place from like, I think, I don't know, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. It is for both the student and the family. They basically repeat the same programming on Saturday or Sunday. Gateway and Women's Preview Weekend are just for the admitted student. They're not going to start till probably 3 in the afternoon after Hokey Focus has concluded. They're going to go overnight. The student's going to bring their pillow and sleeping bag and whatever else they need and bunk in the, on the floor of a current student's dorm room, and go through some programming, and then it will end Sunday. So they're not going to overlap in time in terms of Saturday and the weekend, but the Gateway Hokey Focus is just for the student. The other is for the families. And I will say the other thing is that the Hokey Focus is going to be very much the university perspective, whereas Gateway and Women's Preview Weekend are 100% trying to give you the student perspective. We do not provide bus transportation for these particular programs, so you are kind of on your own to get here. Oh, I take it back. I'm going to correct myself. We do not provide transportation for Women's Preview Weekend. There is bus transportation for Hokey Focus. I'm sorry. There is bus transportation for Gateway. I know they come from Northern Virginia. I don't run that program, but there is free bus transportation. Typically, it's Hampton, Richmond, and Northern Virginia. That will be listed in the invite when you get it. So Gateway, yes. Women's Preview Weekend, no. But that is just for Gateway. It's not gonna, I don't know if it's for the whole, I don't know if they attend Hokey Focus as well as Gateway. They want to know your favorite club. Alexandra, I don't know, was that beekeeping? You talked quite a bit about beekeeping.
Without a doubt in my mind, it is beekeeping. Bee it sounds so ridiculous, I know. But it's such a fun club. It was very low commitment. I really like low commitment clubs because being an engineering student, you do have a lot of work. I will not lie to you about that. But they had low commitments. They had activities on and off campus. Um, Really, I love beekeeping because it just made me feel like whenever people say Virginia Tech is home, like it's the people for me that make it home. And I found people in there who like cared about me and all of that. And they always, whenever I was sad, whenever I went to a meeting and I was like really upset, they managed to cheer me up within like that. So I would always say Beekeeping Club is my like number one. I love them so much.
Shayla, what's your favorite activity outside of classes?
Uh, my favorite club probably is my engineering design team. So like I said earlier, we kind of like build rockets from like scratch, and I'm on like the structural side. So a lot of the people in there are like AOE majors, and so it's been really nice to like meet people who are sophomores as well as upperclassmen. Like some of the people who are on the team have become like really good friends of mine now. And it's like really nice to just go in there because like we kind of goof off and just have a general good time of like learning new things and techniques as like friends in a group. And it's kind of, like helps me class wise as well because I'm learning things before I even get into certain classes. And so that will give me like a leg up once I get there. So stuff like that, I guess.
All right, well, I am going to say thank you to Shayla and Alexandra. I think you did a great job tonight representing our pre-college programs. Okay, well, we got one more question. Favorite part about tech, and maybe let's start with Shayla this time.
Favorite part about tech is probably the people. Tech is most of the people at tech are very, very nice and like very welcoming as people. I kind of had to make like an entire new friend group and like community. And it like became like it was very easy to make friends with people like in classes. Sometimes I'll just like say hi to somebody at the dining halls and like, just strike up little conversations. And it's been really good to like make friends and like find clubs and like just connections with people to make you like feel welcomed and at home.
Alexandra, favorite part about tech?
Like I said earlier, the people I would have to agree are probably like my favorite thing. Like, I've also jumped friend group to friend group. I have a completely new friend group from when I had before, and like things are just amazing. I haven't had many interactions with like people who have like tried to put me down or anything, so that was pretty nice. And this is one of my other favorite parts I have to mention is how beautiful campus looks in fall. Once these fall colors hit, it is going to be stunning, and I cannot wait.
So I have actually have a question for both of you. So one comment that I often get from students, potential freshman students, and when they're thinking about Hypatia and Galileo, they're like, I do not want to be surrounded just by engineering students. So tell me, as both people who lived in Hypatia, were you able to make friends with people outside of engineering? Does it feel very constricting to only be around other engineering students? Kind of what are your thoughts on that? And we'll go back to Alexandra for this one.
Um, that's where clubs and stuff played a lot of a big role for me. Most of my classes, because of way how like I guess not advising, but how classes work out is you're probably going to be a lot of your classes besides from like English and just your general eds. You'll probably be with a lot of engineering students, but when I did like a bunch of clubs and, you know, I did extracurriculars outside my time, I made friends with a lot of people who are like anything from trying to think of two good majors for here, but like I know one of them who's like a business major. I know another one who's doing like orthopedic medicine. So like there's a variety.
Go ahead.
Most of my friends are like people I've met from Hogue and engineering majors because it was just like, a good connection with them. But like similar to what Alex said, like clubs and classes, I'm taking an econ class right now, and like my friend from that class is an architecture major. And then another friend from a different class is like a business major. And then like I have other people who are like animal poultry and health science. So you kind of have to like branch yourself out to meet those other people. And like especially like in clubs or just like your general classes, I would just say make sure you branch out. And if you do get tired of like having nothing but engineering friends, that's the only way you're going to sit there and like meet other people with different majors. And plus might have a different perspective or creativity level that like some of your engineering friends may not have. And so it's nice to have like a different perspective and just general, I guess, chemistry with other people.
So did you feel like all those engineering people in Hogue were like the same engineering stereotype?
There are a few people, but the few is like outweighed by the majority of people who are not. Like there is plenty of engineers in the building who are partiers just as like bad as business majors. And there's people who are gamers and massive introverts. It's kind of just it varies upon the person. Like I've met like a Jesus Christ, variety of personalities of all like different engineering students in Hogue. So I mean, you can't just classify everybody in the engineering stereotype.
Kind of going off from that, I like I think I knew maybe like one guy stereotype for engineering and like I like there were so many other people who were not like that. Full disclosure, my boyfriend, he's an engineer, so I like, you know, I don't think he falls into that stereotype that much. But you're gonna meet people who fall into the stereotype, and then you're gonna meet people who, like Shayla said, completely outside of it. So ultimately, you know, it's gonna be a balance. Also, I will like to say, definitely do make friends with engineers. They're gonna be your godsend on 1215, 1216, Calc 1, Chem 1035, and every other class until you go into your degree.
Okay, I'm gonna try again. We'll see. Every time I try to say thank you guys, another question pops up, but so again, thank you, Shayla and Alexandra. I truly do. I appreciate you. It was kind of a last minute request to get you guys here, so I appreciate you giving up your time tonight. I know that you've got lots of other things to do. I will probably see both of you tomorrow back over in the seed space. We've got a beautiful new office here in the seed for the seed center. And I see lots of Shayla and Alexandria over here studying all the time. They stop by my office and get stickers and candy. So, you know, Seed, we're happy to provide whatever support we can here. Next week, we have Jessica McDaniel, who's a two-time graduate of Virginia Tech. We know that not everybody who participated in our pre-college programs is going to end up here at Virginia Tech, but we very much want everyone to find their place, their spot. And so Jessica's going to talk a little bit more broadly just about the college process, finding a college, applying, narrowing it down, researching, kind of how to look critically at colleges and figure out what might be a good fit for you. So we're going to step away a little bit from Virginia Tech centered, focused things, because like I said, we understand that it's not the right fit or not everyone is going to be successful in the application process, but you are part of the Seed family regardless, and we want to make sure that you are successful wherever you go. So thank you everybody for joining tonight. And I look forward to seeing Shayla and Alexandra back at the Seed office and everybody else on future What's Up Wednesday sessions. So have a good night, everybody.